Why do some women stay in a man's memory forever, while others, just as interesting and beautiful, simply vanish as if they never existed? I am 82 years old. I've seen the world change in ways you wouldn't believe, but the laws of human attraction remain the same. The answer to being unforgettable isn't in your looks or any seduction trick you've been taught. The answer lies in something these women do in silence, a type of silence that isn't weakness, it's pure power. Today I'm going to give you the 6 pillars of silence that brand your image into a man's mind for good. The first pillar goes against everything you've been told about being loved. But pay close attention. The fourth signal, which I'll reveal in just a few minutes, is the ultimate game changer. It is what separates the women who are just placeholders from the ones who are treated like queens and absolute priorities. Stick with me until the very end, because the 6th secret I'm going to reveal closes this entire circle. Once you hear that final point, everything you've experienced in your relationships up until now will finally make sense. The first thing an unforgettable woman does in silence is stop explaining herself. Think about your daily interactions. When you arrive late, do you start a 5-minute monologue about the traffic, your alarm, or your boss? When you turn down a date, do you provide a medical report of your fatigue? When you over-explain, you are subconsciously asking for permission to be who you are. You are handing your power over to the other person, hoping they validate your reasons so you don't feel guilty. The woman a man never forgets doesn't do this. If she decides she doesn't want to go out, she simply says, "I'm not going today." Period. She doesn't fill the silence with excuses. That silence communicates that she owns her time and her will. To a man, this is magnetically powerful, because it suggests she answers to a higher authority, herself. In his mind, he starts to view you as someone whose presence is a privilege, not a given. He wonders what you are doing, why you are so comfortable with your own decisions, and why you don't feel the need to chase his approval. This creates a psychological gap that he feels compelled to fill with his own effort. If this first point has already changed the way you see things, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe right now so you don't lose your way on this journey of feminine wisdom. The second thing an unforgettable woman does in silence is process her wounds without making them a public spectacle. There is a huge difference between bleeding all over someone and showing a scar that is already healed. We live in a time of emotional oversharing. Many women think that telling a man about their trauma, their cheating ex, or their childhood pain in the first few dates creates intimacy. In reality, it creates a burden. When you use your pain to get affection, you create pity, and pity is the opposite of admiration. The woman men never forget also has scars. She has been betrayed and abandoned too, but she does the work of healing in the silence of her own soul. When she finally speaks about her past, she speaks like a narrator of a victory, not a victim begging for a bandage. A man feels a solidity in her that doesn't depend on him. He realizes he can't fix her because she has already fixed herself. This makes her incredibly rare. He starts to think, if she survived all that and still stands this strong, who is she really? This silence of healing makes him want to be a part of her future rather than a janitor for her past. Now get ready, because the third signal is the most counterintuitive of all. It is something 99% of women get wrong today, and it's exactly why they become exhausting to be around. The third thing is the ability to listen in absolute and true silence. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen just to wait for their turn to speak. They are formulating their next sentence while the other person is still pouring their heart out. The unforgettable woman offers her silence as a sacred gift. She looks him in the eyes. She doesn't check her phone. And she doesn't interrupt with "me too." In the silence of your attention, a man feels something he rarely feels in this loud, competitive world. He feels understood. Deep listening is where male vulnerability is born. He starts telling you things he hasn't told his friends or even his family. He talks about his fears of failure, his secret ambitions, and his hidden soft spots. Because you provided the silence, he feels safe enough to lower his guard. And once a man reveals his real soul to a woman, he creates an emotional bond that he cannot easily break. He won't forget you, because you are the only mirror that showed him his true self without judgment. Right here in the comments, I am learning to listen. I want to know how many of us are ready to master this power. We've reached the fourth pillar. This is the turning point. If you understand what I'm about to say in the next few minutes, you will never be ignored again. The fourth thing unforgettable women do in silence is act without needing applause or announcements. There is an absurd elegance in caring for someone or building something and never mentioning the effort it cost you. In our look at me culture, people document every good deed for social media. They want a trophy for being a good partner. But when you do a favor and then demand recognition, you've turned a gift into a debt. You make the man feel like he owes you, and men naturally withdraw from people who keep score. The woman he can't forget is different. She supports him. She handles her business. She creates beauty in their lives. And she stays quiet about it. She doesn't say, "Do you see how much I do for you?" A man eventually notices these things on his own. And when he discovers your value through his own observation, rather than your self-promotion, his respect for you triples. He sees you as a woman of high character, someone moved by principles rather than vanity. He starts to realize that if he loses you, he loses a silent force that made his whole life better. The fifth thing is the mastery of reactions. An unforgettable woman is not a match that lights up with every friction. If a man does something that disappoints you, maybe he's late or he forgets something, and you explode immediately with screams and a dozen angry text messages, you have just handed him the control of your emotions. You have shown him exactly which buttons to push to make you spin out of control. The unforgettable woman retreats into her silence. She doesn't use the childish silent treatment to torture him. She uses the silence of processing to decide her next move. This silence is deafening to a man. He expects the fight. He's prepared for the shouting. When he gets silence instead, he starts to panic. He wonders, is she done with me? Did I go too far this time? When she finally speaks, she is calm and clear about her boundaries. He understands that your inner peace is not for sale. He learns that if he messes up badly, you won't make a scene. You will simply walk out of his life in silence. The fear of losing a woman who is this centered is what keeps a man attentive and faithful. Write in the comments, "I choose my power." I've saved the deepest secret for last. The sixth pillar is what creates eternal mystery. The unforgettable woman inhabits a rich inner world that doesn't need an audience. Many women make the mistake of handing over their entire life story in the first week. They tell him every dream, every fear, and every thought. The result? The mystery is gone. The book has been read and put back on the shelf. The woman you can't forget keeps parts of herself under lock and key. She has thoughts she doesn't share. She has hobbies she enjoys alone. She is like an ocean. You can sail on the surface, but you know there are miles of depth that you might never fully reach. This silence of content makes a man feel that there is always something new to discover in her. He never feels like he owns her mind. He is always curious, always leaning in, always wondering what you are thinking in those quiet moments. She never becomes predictable, and what is unpredictable is impossible to forget. Being unforgettable isn't about what you do for a man. It's about who you are when nobody is looking. It's about your integrity, your self-control, and your refusal to be an open book for someone who hasn't earned the right to read it. After 82 years, I promise you, the world makes a lot of noise for attention, but it's the silence that captures the heart. Start practicing these 6 silences today, and you will find a strength you never knew you had. You will stop chasing and start being the prize. If this video brought you the clarity you were looking for, subscribe to our channel and join this community of women who choose wisdom over drama. Don't leave without watching the 2 videos appearing on your screen right now. They are the direct continuation of what we talked about today and will help you master these techniques even further. A big hug, stay with God, and remember, your silence is your greatest power tool. I'll see you in the next video.